Jax. Live from the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
New information coming out in just a few hours about the tragedy in Gilchrist County that left a family dead. What DCF is now saying about this man who's accused of killing his daughter and grandkids. And a jury selection will get underway for a second day in the Michael Dunn retrial. How many could be called back today? Well, good Tuesday morning. It's September 23rd. I'm Ashley Mitchum. Kind of a, I don't want to say nasty morning, but it sure is wet out there, Richard. How long are we going to see that?
This is going to last the remainder of the work week, Ashley, and take us into even part of the weekend. Getting you started in your forecast here. Temperatures in the 70s and widespread. They've been fluctuating here at Jax International back and forth between 71 and 72. Looking for the sunrise temperature at about 70 degrees. 74 right now at Jax Beach, which is cooler than what we had yesterday in Arlington at 73. But the components that should be alerting north, northeast, and east-northeast. Basically, we've turned that wind around from what we had yesterday with that southwesterly flow. This is the onshore flow. This is where we build into those nor'easter-like conditions. Even though it's not going to set up like a true nor'easter, it's kind of a combination for a high-pressure, low-pressure situation, but it's still going to funnel in that cool, moist atmosphere, that Atlantic moisture into our area, and that's going to keep us under that chance for the increased chance, I should say, for widespread wet weather. So let me break that down here. I-70 or I-95 corridor, this is where we have the biggest chance. We'll call this about 60%. Once you hit the spine of the state and you move inland, there are pockets here that are as little as 40%, but we've got the front that's going to stall mainly over top of our area just to the south, and that will also kind of in a concave here, in a big sweeping manner. It's going to keep us under that chance for those showers and storms. A little less inland, more focused here for our coastal counties. Right now, the rainfall, we had some heavy rainfall, by the way. That's since moved out. This is one of the pockets, by the way, Gainesville, showing 5 miles visibility that picked up that heavy rainfall late last night with that system that went through. I think it was about almost 3 inches, which the model showed yesterday, giving us the indications that areas to the south would see that heaviest rainfall. Right now, they're waking up with fog, and there's more of this to come. So what we have happening inland, you can see how clear this area is. So this is the high pressure. The low pressure sets up offshore, and those two are going to combine to keep that marine air just funneled right into here at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, even stronger out over the open water. Temperatures continue in the 70s, 76, the hot pocket there for Green Cove Springs, 67 for Nahunta. Elsewhere, we're in the lower 70s along that 95 corridor in southeast Georgia, and there needs to be a lot more cloud cover added here. We've got cloudy conditions, only topping out in the lower 80s for today with that 50 to 60% chance for the wet weather. We'll break this down again zone by zone coming up in your full weather forecast in 10 minutes. Back to you.
Later this morning, we expect new information about last week's murder-suicide in Gilchrist County that left 8 members of one family dead. The Gilchrist County Sheriff's Office will release a statement this morning at 9. Investigators say 51-year-old Don Spirit shot and killed his daughter and her 6 children before he took his own life last Thursday. News 4 Jax crime and safety expert says an investigation like this takes time.
We want answers. We want them now. But when you're doing a law enforcement investigation, it's slow. You have to take your time just to make sure that you get everything right.
The Department of Children and Families confirms it investigated the family 2 weeks before the shootings. Someone called the state abuse hotline to report marijuana smoked in the Spirit home in front of the children. Child welfare officials were also involved in the 2013 time when they say that Don Spirit reportedly hit one of the grandkids with a belt, causing bruising. We have a crew heading to Bell later this morning. We'll bring you new information both on air and online at news4jax.com. We're following a breaking news alert overnight about this British journalist who's being held hostage by ISIS. So a second video has been released showing John Cantilli, who was in the first video that was released last week. In both, he was dressed in orange and said he'd been abandoned by the UK and his fate now lies in the Islamic State group. Cantilli was kidnapped back in 2012 in Syria. This comes as the United States and its allies launch airstrikes against ISIS in Syria. The goal, taking out ISIS's ability to command, control, resupply, and retrain its fighters. About 30 minutes ago, Israeli military said it shot down Syrian aircraft that entered its airspace. A U.S. intelligence official says while the airstrikes could incite a response, there's no evidence to suggest any terrorist strike is in the works against the United States. Now back to more local news in just a few hours. Day 2 of jury selection for Michael Dunn's retrial for the murder of Jordan Davis will begin. Channel 4's Scott Johnson has a look at the first day in court as well as what's been happening outside of the courthouse.
As Jordan Davis's father left the Duval County Courthouse, he had nothing to say on the jury selection process going on. And the same with Jordan's mother, who just wants the process to play out before making a comment. Hi, ma'am. How did you think it went today?
I can't really comment.
Can't comment?
No comment.
Just waiting to see how it goes.
Just waiting. Thank you.
Inside the courtroom, 37 jurors have already been dismissed, but around 20 from today will be brought back tomorrow. And they'll be joined by 40 new ones as lawyers for both sides try to find an unbiased jury.
We want justice! We want justice!
Meanwhile, outside, demonstrators have come back, chanting justice for Jordan Davis, wanting Michael Dunn to be convicted of murder after the first attempt ended in a hung jury. Although Dunn was convicted of 3 counts of second-degree murder in February, which will give him a minimum 60 years in prison.
Michael Dunn was, there was a hung trial for the murder 1 conviction the first time around. We really think that's an injustice, and we're here to make sure that justice gets carried out this time around.
You think it will this time around?
You know, that's not really for me to say. I think it's important for everyone to recognize that this is part of a pattern of racist violence where black and brown youth get put on trial for their own murders.
And we are hearing that jury selection could wrap up Wednesday. Then the official trial can begin. At the Duval County Courthouse, Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
Stay tuned to News4Jax as we cover the Michael Dunn retrial. We have a special section devoted to the case on news4jax.com. You'll find blog updates and tweets from our reporters at the courthouse. And once the jury is chosen, the testimony begins. You can watch the proceedings gavel to gavel on news4jax.com. A young child remains in critical condition and 2 of her siblings in the hospital after a bad crash on the south side. The wreck happened yesterday at about 4 o'clock at the intersection of Beach Boulevard and Station Creek Road. Florida Highway Patrol says 24-year-old Tobias Witkowski, driving a blue pickup truck, was coming eastbound on Beach Boulevard when he ran the traffic light and T-boned a minivan driven by 40-year-old Lisa Jackson. Jackson's 3 kids were in the minivan, ages 5, 7, and 1. 5-year-old Reagan Jackson is in critical condition. Another child was also taken to UF Health for minor injuries. The driver of the pickup truck suffered minor injuries as well. The City Council is expecting a marathon meeting tonight as they vote on the budget. There are already 21 amendments proposed for the budget, which means a lengthy debate. A group of 6 council members, along with city department heads, met to talk about the proposed cuts yesterday. Right now, the council is looking at a 2% cut across the board. The sheriff's department is taking the biggest hit. The sheriff says that he blames the mayor for not presenting a realistic budget to the council. The mayor's staff says the sheriff was well aware of what was being presented and signed off on it. The council will meet today at 5 p.m. Well, it's living proof that this is no longer just a man's world. Coming up, we'll give you Fortune's list of the most powerful women in business. But first, 400 law enforcement officers now looking for the man suspected of killing a Pennsylvania state trooper. How the manhunt is affecting schools in the area, that's next.
Like WJXT4, the local station, on Facebook.